Hey folks, welcome back to Only the Best Fantasy Novels. My name is Robin, and today I want to talk about Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. Now, this is a book that everyone's like. It's quite a popular opinion that this is the best of the Sanderson secret projects. Personally, that's not the case to me, but it is probably my second favorite. But what is Tress of the Emerald Sea about? Basically, Tress is a window washer she lives on this little island called the Rock. That's such a popular destination that there's a royal decree preventing any of the natives from leaving it, for fear that their population eventually dies out. Tress, as part of her job, which is window washing, she comes into frequent contact with Charlie, who is the gardener of the Duke and obviously not his son. So Charlie is coming of age, and the Duke is becoming more and more wary of the friendship that's being formed between Charlie and Tress. So one day he picks up Charlie and he decides to leave to go and find him a bride. Um, so they leave, and a few months later, the Duke returns with his heir, and it's not Charlie, it's his nephew. And when Tress investigates, she finds out that Charlie was essentially sent on a suicide mission into the Midnight Sea to confront the sorceress that resides there. So, Tress is not a damsel in distress in this case. She decides that she's gonna go rescue Charlie. How she's gonna do it? That's what the book is all about. Um, so yeah, what do I think about this book? Like, I can see why this is like arguably one of the best of the Secret Project novels. Like, Sanderson is an author. He's often frequently lambasted because of his bland, practically tasteless writing style, and he's quite open about the fact that he writes like that specifically to be as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. Well, this book proves that Sanderson can definitely write with some type of style or verve if he so chooses. Like, this book it's told in a very whimsical fashion, and the way the narrative is kind of is executed, it kind of enforces that. Like, first and foremost, we're led to believe that this book is a story that's being narrated to us by none other than Hyde. And it's reinforced by, it's very much told in the third person, but it's reinforced by frequent moments where Hyde will interject his commentary, break the fourth wall, and speak directly to you, the reader, to provide his little commentary on events as they play out. But like, the story itself, it's told as is befitting a story that's being narrated to someone. It's told in like this whimsical, almost fairy tale-esque fashion. And Sanderson mentioned that his inspiration for this is The Princess Bride, and that's a feel that comes across in the book. It's not quite fairy tale, but it does have that whimsy to it. So there's that, which I think is one of the main reasons everyone loves the story. But the other reason why I think everyone loves the story is because of the main character, Glorf. If you have no idea who Glorf is, I don't blame you, because she's more commonly known by, in true fairy tale style, she's more commonly known by one of her prevailing attributes, which is her tresses. So Tress, she seems to be, when we first introduced to her, she's basically introduced as like a commoner, but the more we see of her, the more we realize that this is a young lady with like a lot of like inner ambition to an extent. Like, there's some moments over the course of the story where we see that she's faced with some sort of dilemma, and instead of just accepting fate, or she gets up and she goes out there to find a way to resolve it. And it's small things, like in very much in her her way of life. It's small things, like it's finding a way to make food stretch a bit longer, or that kind of thing. But it's things like that, and it gives us a very she's a very proactive, a very not necessarily confident, but she's a very ambitious is pretty much the only word I can think of to use here. She's that type of character. She's indomitable, maybe. That might be the best word for her. She's indomitable. And when this thing happens to Charlie, you know, she absolutely gets up and goes out there. It's not that she's not scared. It's not that she's not... she's very much aware that she's in over her head. But she comes up with a plan, and she goes after it. And she does it with like a flair that it's hard not to love. Like she is the backbone of this story. She's a remarkably likable character, and I was there for her throughout this. Like the more I think on this, like she was just well done. She was really well done. Like I consider her the linchpin of this story. As much as the core of the story is Glorf, aka Tress, going out to rescue Charlie, like there's some other things going on here. Like as I mentioned, this is a story Hyde is narrating to us, and Hyde is also a character within the story. Like he has his own kind of he's up to his own shenanigans in the background, and when we first meet Hyde, we find him in a very unique place in his particular life, and we meet another character that has Cosmere implications that provide some hilarious context to what's happening, and to kind of drop some lore and some knowledge that, you know, keeps things a little spicy. Like this book, in terms of like Cosmere implications, this book, I don't think there's that many. We do meet some characters in here who were present in other stories that we've seen so far. There's the magic system of the world, which it was hinted at. It was kind of touched on in one of the in a previous book, but in that book it was really only hinted at. And in this one, we find out that the version of it that we see here is essentially like an offshoot, a tangent of that one that we saw in reference in a previous book, in The Lost Metal, actually, the Mistborn book. So there's that. Like, as is typical for Sanderson, this is a fascinating world, unique magic system, all of that. One thing I did find interesting about it is that Sanderson, he has a tendency to just kind of seed in some small details here and there that he can use to poke and pull at different threads when he's ready to tell a sequel. And they often come as like these throwaway one-liners, these just things that are just mentioned in passing. And in this case, one of the things that's mentioned is that the world that we see over the course of this story, it's remarkably underdeveloped compared to other parts of this very same planet. Like this world it's kind of chaotic because of the way that the environment operates, and because of that, it doesn't seem like there's there's a very accessible way for different geographical locations to kind of interact. And because of that, like it seems one part of this globe has essentially developed quite a bit more than another part, and where Tress happens to be the underdeveloped part. So there are some teases that are dropped here and there when things come up over the course of the story. So there's that. But as to the actual story that's told, it's just a really fun story, you know. Like this is very much an adventure of Tress going out to, with like there's nothing really special about this girl. She's not unique. She's not like a chosen one. She's not a powerful mage with hidden powers or anything like this. She just has this indomitable attitude, and she just fights for what she believes in, and she doesn't want to give up on her friend. She wants to rescue her friend, and she sets out on this ridiculously ridiculously complicated adventure as a result. When I say complicated, in terms of like her station in life compared to like some of the forces that she interacts with. And what she has going for her is that in addition to being a very indomitable person, she's also creative in the way that she comes up with solutions, and that's something that plays over the course of the novel. That it's what allows her to really thrive as she navigates this story. And as the story progresses, it becomes so much more than just this adventure to rescue her friend. Like it becomes like this just really kind of charming tale of like almost like a fun family, and you know it's a great story. Like it's charming, it's whimsical. It at the same time there is some interesting things that happen in here. Some little teases here and there in terms of like the Cosmere implications to keep you going. We do see a significant moment in Hyde's story. We do meet a character who the last time we saw them, it was in a novella. You can, that should be interesting for you to try and figure out. But all in all, first and foremost, this is just like a fun story. Like it's not a story that takes itself overly seriously. It's just a good book. It is a good book. And if it weren't for one other book that was written among the secret projects, I would probably be among the many people who say that this is my favorite of the secret projects. But yeah, that's my take on Tress of the Emerald Sea. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.